PR. Beautiful. Part 2. There was a young boy who was born blind. His smile was a strength, but the ability to see what's hidden deep within the hearts of the people he met was a gift that stood in the place of his inability to see objects, but souls. His favorite line was, "True beauty is when you start being yourself." J.O.A. She lost interest in painting her face every morning to hide her flaws. He stopped listening to hip-hop to try and heal the scars. She stopped dressing for the world and started dressing for the Lord. He started thinking about heaven because going to hell he couldn't afford. And when she turned her back on the world, the voices became louder, and every demon waited on the street corner to discourage her. They called her names and insane. Wouldn't you like to come and sell your body and you'll get paid? But she held on tighter to the Bible in her hand, knowing that it was the only thing that she had. She gave up all that she had for that, yet her family still couldn't stand by her side and support her. Perhaps if Mama knew she'd turn out like this, she'd abort her. But it's too late to kill her now. But with rejection, it does the job slowly but surely. She wanted to share her story and decided to write a letter. Dear listener, don't listen to the world, but listen to the voice that is encouraging you to turn your back on it. I used to have 2 wardrobes and live a double life ever since I was a kid. Yet ripping off the faces every night to put on another one for another day was exhausting. One time I saw blood on my hands whilst I was coughing. Guess what? I used to take drugs that came in the form of fake love, and I was the worst addict. Never wanted to admit under every diagnosis. Psychotic and a narcissist. I became so good at manipulating people because I couldn't control myself. I used my body as an object, putting my desires and myself first, pushing everyone aside in the process. I started hating myself for the person that I was. I used to break people's hearts because mine was. I never knew my father. Mother said he was arrested for a crime he never committed. When I was 9 years old, I always prayed hoping it would be omitted, yet he never came out, and I never saw his face, and I was left in doubt whether it was really it, or was it just because they broke up and she didn't want me to know him. I still don't know his face, and it's so tormenting, because every man I met on the street I hope would say, "My daughter, it's me," and maybe the pain would flee and I'd be free from the heartaches, because every time I got attached my heart would break because of my insecurities. I guess we all just living in a world that has no security. And I started seeing mothers who slept with their babies on the streets, and some other people who found a home under a bridge, and it hit me harder than I thought it would. Something said, at least you have a home, and maybe they have hope that it'll get better because they're not stopping. They still wake up every day trying to get by, so you'll be fine. And then I started looking for meaning in life. I put down the knife as I was sitting on my bed, counting all the reasons why I shouldn't be alive, and I got tired of hiding behind makeup, tired of the breakups, tired of fake love, tired of all the anxiety, tired of not having someone to confide in, and tired of being tired. I started crying and I fell to my knees, and there was a piece of paper under my bed of which I read, and it read, "Be you, beautiful. Beauty isn't being yourself, and the only time it can really hit home is when the light shines on a diamond. And remember, every diamond has crooked and sharp edges, but its value still remains. Once you find something to stand for, then you'll find fulfillment." And there was a scripture at the bottom. He made everything beautiful in its time. I sighed, a sigh of relief, a Sunday morning that made me believe that there must be a God somewhere in the heavens, and everything that happens is destined, and I used to think I was destined for hell. Yet I have a story of how my life changed, and one day I'll tell. I gave my life to Jesus, and for the first time in my life it felt good, giving my body, soul, and mind to someone. Devoted I remain till this day. He was contemplating suicide. He was do or die, heart beating rapidly as he stood at the edge of a cliff. Just one more step and it will all stop. Just one more step and it will all be gone. The fears of not knowing his mother and father. The pain of being loved by a stranger he struggled to love. For one last time he put his earphones in and went to a poem that he once wrote. Perhaps in it he could find a glimpse of hope, or maybe it would be the final stroke. He sat down and pressed play, and this is how it went. PR. Never going back. Dear God, I've been on my knees for too long. This time I'll stand. Why did my mom leave me as a baby? Please help me understand. Was I a mistake to my dad? Cause I've been wondering if I look like the very same person that is an enemy to me. What a curse this life has turned out to be. They say every baby is a blessing, but I was left in a ditch. I thought blessings were supposed to be counted, but I was disposed of. And many nights I wish I died that day. Wasn't even conscious, so perhaps I wouldn't feel pain. And I don't feel ashamed for putting my heart on this table, cause you're called the great physician and I've had many surgeries. God, please, I ask that you take this heart and give me a new start. Part of me wants it all to end as soon as possible. Part of me wants to live a fulfilling life and achieve the impossible. I feel unstoppable, yet here I am standing shouting at you again. A little like Job, but all the only difference is that he never cursed you and I do to your face. And every time I try to get away, you pull me closer to you. I dodged a car crash and saw a demon and avoided a car accident. Since you are the giver of life, please take mine, cause I never asked for it. It's tiring having to wake up every morning to remember that my life is nothing but a nightmare. And last night I had a dream where I was shot in the neck 3 times and I didn't die. What must I do for it all to end? I wish I had a friend. Dear God, I'm weak and I can't stand anymore. I'd rather crawl on my knees to you. After the last time we spoke, I feel new, a little lighter and a little less pain. I don't know why I still come to you, cause you're the only one who knows the secrets of my heart. That I used to cut myself, and if I had a rope I'd hang myself. Yet it never manifested for some reason, and those thoughts only come for a season. And I met a girl on the street on her way to church. She was wearing a long dress down to the feet, and I thought it was an angel, cause she was young and that sight was something to see. There was a light next to her she didn't see, and she greeted me, and I never said anything. I secretly follow her to a church from a distance. My feet just move on their own, and in my mind I was already planning how I'd buy a shirt and a tie. Nothing fancy, cause I never dressed formally. Yet I saw how the people were dressed there, and I didn't want them to notice that I wasn't one of them. I just wanted to see if that light was always next to her. And the atmosphere was something else. As she spoke to me, I felt comfort strangely, and in my heart I was screaming out, who is this person? Is it an angel that has come to save me and take me? Cause I've been crying out, and perhaps you've heard my prayer, or maybe someone else's prayer for me. The poem paused and there was a call, and he picked up the phone and answered. It was his grandmother who he stayed with, who was diagnosed with cancer, and she said, "My son, please come and see me. I'm in the hospital now. Please come." She hung up. He got up and ran back, leaving his suicidal plan, and it seemed as if it was all planned and perfectly ordered in a chilling story. God was the author. He arrived at the hospital and found his grandmother still alive, and she spoke to him and said, "My son, I never told you this, I'm sorry, but your mother and your father gave up their lives for you. They died saving you. It was either you or them." A tear fell out of his one eye as he stood still for a few minutes and never said a word, and she passed on. His heart broke there and then, yet at least he knew that they loved him. He went back home and started crying, and the tears were running down his cheeks as he cried like a little baby the way he used to cry when he was young. He went into his grandmother's room and there was a note on the bed for him. He hesitated reading it, but eventually he did. And one day he said he'd share what was written therein, and it changed his life entirely. To be continued.